you got to think, like, if you're a parent and you have a child with special needs, it's already stressful enough. And then when they get to the point where they have to have their own finances, they have to sign up for their own benefits, the last thing you want to worry about is the government taking $30 from the $50 that grandma gave them for Christmas, you know?
Right.
So hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Therapy Unmasked, hosted here at Ability Innovations. And today is a really awesome episode because we are joined by Jolene Wyler, and she is the project manager for Able Utah. So she's going to kind of go over like what her job role is and how she can potentially benefit you and your family. So I'm going to just briefly turn the time over to her and then we'll talk things through.
Yes, my name's Jolene Wyler, and I'm the project manager for Able Utah with Department of Workforce Services. And I'm also the director of what's called the Utah Work Incentive Planning Services, which I'm going to touch on real briefly. I hope that program can help people as well.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and thanks for coming in. Like, it's great to find out that there's lots of resources for families across, the Wasatch Front and everywhere and throughout Utah, right?
There really are. I was really excited to work with the Able Utah program. It really gives individuals a chance to save and invest money and have it not count against their Social Security benefits or their Medicaid benefits.
Big thing.
It really is. Yeah. It really gives people an opportunity to have more money than that traditional $2,000 asset limit and really to be able to make choices of where that money goes.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to hear more about that. So what is your main focus in what you do in your position?
Again, I have the dual positions, but with the Able Utah program, I do a lot of outreach for Able Utah and really kind of try to spread the word about this great program. It's actually probably the highlight of my career. I love talking about
this
Able.
Program.
I really do, because the other programs were working within the guidelines of Social Security and Medicaid and those kind of programs. But with the Able Utah program, it is a tangible program that lets people save and invest money and really better their life. It's very important for people to be able to have those choices and to have families have those choices for their child.
So it's especially for families with kids with disabilities, but also whom else can benefit from this plan?
So the primary qualification is you have to have had your disability before age 26. Okay. Now that is going to go up in January of 2026 to age 46. So Congress passed that Age Adjustment Act to be able to hopefully capture about 1 million veterans to be able to use an ABLE program.
That's awesome.
Amazing, yeah.
So you just have to have your disability before age 26, but you can be any age. So you can open it for your child, or there's a person with a disability that is in her 90s with our partner program, the Stable program. Who has an ABLE account.
Are they limited on the kind of disability, or do you want to talk through how it works? What kind of disabilities qualify? Are there ones that don't?
Well, there's beyond that, you have to have your disability onset before age 26. Mm-hmm. You have to either be receiving Social Security disability benefits or SSI, or you have to have a condition that's listed on what's called the list of compassionate allowances with Social Security, or you can do what's called self-certification. And we probably have over 50% of people with ABLE accounts in Utah with self-certification. Oh, sure. And what that is you take a form into your doctor, and the doctor has to write down what the disability code is and basically sign and say that this person's disability is expected to last at least a year. It has to have marked and severe functional limitations. So that disability has to cause that. But the nice thing about self-certification is you don't have to turn in that paperwork to the ABLE account. You just have to have it on hand. So if there's any questions later or there's any kind of audit, you can produce that paperwork.
Well, we also kind of want to ask you, like, how did you find this position? How did you find like this ABLE Utah, this program, and what kind of drew you into wanting to be a part of it?
Well, the ABLE program was by Congress was originally started in 2014. But in Utah, it was approved in, I think it was 2017 to start, but we didn't have an ABLE program of our own. People had to go to other states that would allow anyone in the nation to apply and enroll in ABLE programs. There's over 44 states that have either at least one, maybe more than one ABLE program. And some of them are programs just for the residents of that state, and some of them are for anyone in the nation. In 2021, Utah started an ABLE program, and Department of Workforce Services is the administrator for it. Vocational Rehabilitation came to me and said, you know what, this is right along the lines of the work that you're already doing with Utah Work Incentive Planning Services. So would you please take over this program as well? And I was really excited to do that again because it really impacts people's lives. And it does go along with our other program where we sit down and meet with individuals who are receiving Social Security benefits and help them understand how work affects their benefits. So we were already talking about an ABLE program.
Yeah. Do you have like any cool or interesting or like heartwarming stories that you'd want to share?
I have a friend who has a daughter with a fairly significant disability. She has autism, but she also has cerebral palsy. And she is not able to manage her own money. What had happened is the family was not eligible for SSI when she was under 18, but my friend knew that once she was 18 years old, they were going to apply for Social Security for her. But they wanted to be able to have an ABLE account for her, to be able to have friends and family be able to give her money. Her grandfather had passed away and left her some money. And so they really wanted her to be able to have those finances. And so her mom set up the ABLE account for her. And I actually just talked to her the other night about it. And she was so happy because she knows now that she has money for her daughter for, if she needs to pay co-pays for things for her physical issues.
Having that account, I think, would benefit your life going along, because just like you said, what if they're older, they have like a grandparent or a parent that passes away and they get some of that money, they normally wouldn't be able to keep that because it's a $2,000 limit.
That's right. They would count it against the $2,000 limit. Their only choices would be to put it in a special needs trust or to put it in an ABLE program. We do work with special needs trusts as well, in that, a special needs trust can be set up by a lawyer and you have a trustee that manages that. And you can put unlimited assets into a special needs trust. So you can put a house or a car into it. It's limited on what you can spend it on. So you can't spend it on housing expenses. But with an ABLE program, there is a limit to how much you can save every year. In 2024, that limit's $18,000. But in 2025, that goes up to $19,000. And so you can save up to, it's going to be $19,000 a year, have it not affect your benefits. And then you can transfer money from your trust into your ABLE account and be able to use it for housing expenses.
And I'm assuming it does stack, right, year to year?
It does. Okay, actually, the limit is like $441,000. But, $541,000. There is a caveat that if you're receiving SSI benefits, you can't have more than $100,000 in an ABLE account. And if you have more, Social Security will just pause your benefits until the balance goes back under $100,000. Going back to putting money into the ABLE account, it works so well for children and families because it has always been the SSI will count all but $20 of financial gifts or what they call unearned income. So if grandma or grandpa wanted to give you $50 for Christmas, they would only let you keep $20 of that, and they would count $30 off your SSI. They'd take it off your SSI. But if you put money in the ABLE account, it doesn't count towards the SSI at all. So I actually have another family that one of my work incentive counselors is working with. They put $200, the parents put $200 a month into their child's ABLE account, and it doesn't count. Plus, if a parent has a 529 college savings account for their child, you can transfer that into the ABLE account.
What a great resource, especially for these families. And I hope that some of our families go, why haven't I heard about this? And I'm going to go and talk to the Department of Workforce Services and figure out how we get this all set up. And that's kind of our hope. Do you have a sense of how many people throughout Utah are taking advantage of this and how we could spread the word more?
We have over 1,100 active accounts with ABLE right now in Utah, and they have saved over $7 million in the ABLE account.
Amazing.
So it's really awesome.
Such a benefit,
taking advantage of it. That kind of averages out to, if you were averaging it out, it'd average out to about, I think, $7,000 per account. But it's really exciting to see the growth in the ABLE program for Utah. And another nice thing is if you do savings and investment with an ABLE account or with ABLE Utah, all of the earnings within that ABLE account are tax-free. So there's no state or federal income tax on earnings. So if you think of your 401k, you're going to get taxed on that.
Yeah, when you take it out, right?
Right. But that's not the case with an ABLE account. All of the earnings within it are tax-free. Plus, all contributions to an ABLE Utah account, you may be eligible for, right now, it's a 4.55% state tax credit. So, the family I was talking about that's putting money into their child's ABLE account, they are also taking advantage of tax savings.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, what are the tax advantages of having this account? And so there's tax savings by putting money in, and you're not taxed by taking money out. Such a great program.
I think so too. You got to think, if you're a parent and you have a child with special needs, it's already stressful enough. And then when they get to the point where they have to have their own finances, they have to sign up for their own benefits, the last thing you want to worry about is the government taking $30 from the $50 that grandma gave them for Christmas.
That's right.
So I think this is just such a powerful thing. And I'm just really glad we have something like this here.
It's really nice. And again, you can save that $18,000 and then soon to be $19,000 a year. Plus, if the individual's working, they can save an additional amount with what's called the Able to Work program. And right now, you can save an additional $14,580. And starting in 2025, you can save $15,060 a year.
Some of our parents, and they have children that are aging and getting to that age where they could work a job, they want to work a job, or they're interested in doing something in particular. Then, they're like, what do we do with all of this? How do I manage that financial aspect of it? And this might be a solid way for them to kind of protect that money of their child as well and figure out how to use it for things that they really need.
That's right.
Without it being taken from, the government, with taxes and things like that.
With the ABLE account, you can spend money out of the account on the IRS has made a very specific definition of what you can spend money on out of your ABLE account, and it's called qualified disability expenses, and it has to help improve or maintain your health, independence, or quality of life. I think we can think of a lot of things that would do that.
Therapy counts as that.
Absolutely. The IRS made that definition really vague on purpose. in talking to other ABLE administrators, there's only 2 things that we really found that weren't
don't do
a qualified
this,
disability
but everything
expense.
else you can make a case for.
Right. It's giving money away or gambling.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 things that really we've thought about that wouldn't
doesn't really help you.
But other than that, I worked with a lady that saved money to buy a house in her ABLE account, and another one who is buying a house but is going to be doing home improvements with their ABLE account as well.
All kinds of things. Like I think of like even the medical equipment that a lot of families might need, it definitely goes to that. And if families don't have like a HSA card or anything like that, like they could use this account for things like that. Needs change as they go along. And I know for my kids, like they get more expensive as they get older.
They do.
And I'm sure that, certain kids that we see here, they're really expensive already. Does that increase as they get older? Probably, right? And so having this account could really help with that, especially just even with the tax benefits. That's my favorite part.
Well, absolutely. And like you think about like things like inflation too, and like costs going up, and how when the costs are rising, are the security benefits rising with those? Probably not as much.
They're not.
This can help offset some of that hardship that these individuals may be facing.
And you had mentioned, equipment and those kind of things. The ABLE account can also be used similar to a GoFundMe in a way, where you can send out emails from your ABLE account, or you can, post on Facebook or Twitter and say, you know what, I'm saving money for this thing. Can you contribute to my ABLE account?
Like I've had kids that are saving money to get a therapy dog. They're very expensive because they have to be trained specifically for certain things. And, like a service dog. And they're saying like, we have to come up with this many thousands of dollars. It could work like a GoFundMe.
It does. And
wow.
So you can invite people to contribute to the ABLE account. If they're in Utah, they get that tax credit. Plus, you can send out thank you notes from your ABLE account from the people for the people that have contributed to your account. There still is that $19,000 limit, for 2025, but that really allows you to potentially save a lot of money for that and save for a specific thing.
Does the account have like a debit card attached to it, or do they have to pull out money directly?
It does.
Okay.
It's got what's called a stable Visa, and it's a prepaid loadable card. Gotcha. So you load a portion of the money onto the card, and it's accepted anywhere Visa is accepted. And you can, in the instance of my friend with her daughter's really not going to be able to manage that money. So your parent or guardian, there's actually a list that the IRS put out of individuals who are called authorized legal representatives who can manage an ABLE account. Right. But the authorized legal representative can get one of those stable Visa cards, and the actual individual can get one of those as well. So if you're trying to teach, how to manage money and those kind of things, you can load money on. You can choose what vendors that the individual can go to and restrict others. Mm-hmm. You can't go to the ATM with it, so there's no money that you can get out of it. And I think that's really good for individuals who may be taken advantage of at some point. Yeah. So they can't, say, oh, let's go to the ATM and get money out of it. Yeah. So that works really well. And the cost of that Visa card or the fee for that Visa card is getting paid for by Department of Workforce Services right now. We didn't talk about fees. So the fees, that's another thing that I really like the Utah program for. The fees for an ABLE account are $27 a year, and the asset-based fees are between 0.19 and 0.33%. You can go on, all of the stuff that I've talked about today is accessible off the website, www.ableut.com.
Oh, they have their own website. Perfect.
So all of the forms are on there. And then another nice thing is at the bottom of the page, it has what's called historical performance. So you can look and see how your investments are doing or how much how much money you're making in your savings account. So every time somebody puts money into an ABLE account, they can choose whether to put it in a savings type product, which is FDIC insured up to $250,000, or they can choose one of 4 Vanguard investment accounts. So even the savings option right now, I checked it 2 days ago, and year to date, it's making 4.26% interest.
Is there anything else that you think that our families need to know about with this program?
I think the important thing is to be able to know that it's really available for people and to be able to know where to go. So they can go to that, the www.ableut.com. And if you have questions about the ABLE account, I am available. My phone number is 801-887-9393. But you can also email us here in Utah at ableut@utah.gov. And again, it's a fantastic way for people to be able to save money and invest money. And it gives opportunities for people with disabilities to really be able to do that and have those tax advantages, which are great.
And increasingly so as the years go by and more legislation is passed, it opens it up even more, allows more people to benefit. It's going to be even better as time goes on.
It really will be.
So great.
Thank you. That's just such a powerful program, powerful message. We have one last question, and we ask this to every guest that comes on our podcast. So here at Ability Innovations, we're kind of like superhero themed. Like we focus on ability and helping kids focus on their abilities and reach milestones. So we want to ask you, what do you think your superpower is as you've kind of gone into these roles and really helped families out? What do you think your superpower has been?
I think my superpower has always been to try to better people's lives and give them information that they need to better their lives. Not only with the ABLE program, but with the Utah Work Incentive Planning Services. When that job came available to me, or when it came up to look at, I called the HR representative and I begged them to be able to apply for this job. I really want this job, to be able to work with people and really help them understand how work affects their benefits and how they can do what they can within the bounds of their disability to, again, better their lives and to stop things like overpayments and those kind of things with Social Security. So I am really passionate about that program and, again, about ABLE.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great superpower.
Yeah. Yep. So special thanks to Jolene Wyler for joining us today here at Therapy Unmasked. Again, Therapy Unmasked is brought to you by Ability Innovations. Feel free to check out our website, www.abilityinnovations.com. We always have lots of free podcast episodes on there, as well as free blogs and articles that our own therapists here in the office write. And we do all of this to help you so that you have free resources available to help you and your family ultimately help your kids reach their milestones and become the best version of themselves as possible. We will link everything we can about ABLE Utah in the show notes, so you can look into that if you're preparing for your kid who is eventually going to go on and need a program like this, or maybe you have friends or family, or maybe it's yourself that needs a program like this. We want to make sure that this information is readily available to you. Again, special thanks to Jolene for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode of Therapy Unmasked. Bye.
Bye, everybody. And thanks, Jolene.